Okay, I'm going to try to kind of finish up what we started in class today with the hyperbola since we didn't quite have time to finish the Desmos activity. Hopefully, you finished, you went through the last couple slides of the Desmos activity. I'm going to try to clarify what they were trying to have you see. Here is an equation of a hyperbola. We've got x squared divided by 9 minus y squared divided by 16 equals 1. So here's a picture of it. Some things like relationships I want you to see between the equation and the vertices and the asymptotes, the slopes of the asymptotes and the foci. So notice that the square root of 9 is 3. So the vertices are on here. This is called the transverse axis. They're right here. There's 3 and there's -3. Okay. Now the square root of 16 is 4. What does that have to do with this picture? Well, it's part of the slope. So the slope of the asymptotes is change in y over change in x. So the change in y is up 4, change in x is 3. So the slope of that line is 4/3, 4/3, and this one is -4/3. Okay, so those are the slopes of the asymptotes. Now to find the foci, I wanted to point this out how this works here. If we look at this triangle right here, this right triangle that I created, and I put the unit circle in there so that you can see that this hypotenuse right here is the radius of that circle. And the foci also lies on the radius of that circle. Okay, so this line right here, which is the hypotenuse of this right triangle, is the same length as the length between A and C. And this is your focal distance. Okay, so in order to find your focal distance, this is actually a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this distance, okay? So I'm going to do an example for you. Here is an example. I've got x squared divided by 9 minus y squared divided by 16. So the vertices are going to be the 3 and the -3. So right here, this is -3, 0. And this is 3, 0. So those are our vertices. Now this right here, the number under the y is if you take the square root of it, that'll be change in y, which is 4, over change in x, which is 3, which is the number under here after you take the square root. So those are the slopes of our asymptotes. Here we go, rise over run, 4 over 3, and then -4 over 3 for this negative slope. Okay, and once you have that, you can sketch a halfway decent parabola or a hyperbola, although it's really hard with this tablet, so I'm sorry, it's so ugly. Okay, and then to find the foci, you use the Pythagorean theorem like I mentioned before. So you get c squared equals a squared plus b squared, so that equals 9 plus 16. So c squared is 25, so c is plus or minus 5. So that is your focal distance. So we are going to go 5 here and -5 here. So this point is 5, 0, and this point is -5, 0. And that's your foci right there. Now, if we were to swap our x's and y's, so now the y squared is first instead of the x squared, and this is totally different. This is a subtraction, it's not commutative, so we just can't switch those and have the same thing. So this is going to give us a different graph, a different looking graph. So, but we're still going to look under the y. I see that 3. This is coming first. This is where the transverse axis is going to be on the y this time, on the vertical axis. So I'm going to take that 3, and I already put my points there. So this is 3, -3. So there's my vertices. The slope of the asymptotes, change in y divided by change in x. So that's still, I got to look under the y. So that would be 3 and then divided by 4. Square root of 16 is 4. So this is the slope of my asymptotes. So up 3 over 4. So that's the slope of those asymptotes. Now, if I were to sketch the graph in now, it would look like this. So this is going to open up and down. This parabola, or hyperbola, I keep saying that, is going to open up and down instead of left and right because the y squared is first. To find the focus, same way we did it when the transverse axis was horizontal. A squared plus b squared. C squared equals 9 plus 16. Okay, so C equals plus or minus 5, just like before. So there is my foci. That's at 0, 5, and this one down here is at 0, negative 5. Okay, so hopefully this helps you see how they all of the different parts of the graph fit with the equation and how you can pluck out these different parts of the graph to sketch a beautiful graph of your hyperbolas. And this should help you do a few of your homework problems. You may still have to read the book a little bit and get a little more vocabulary, but I think you will be in much better shape now to try the problems after this more thorough explanation. So good luck. Thanks.